Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week here on the Nextlander podcast, where we are keeping it all alive, keeping it up. Everybody's trying to tear it down, we're keeping it up. Alex Navarro, they depend on us.
What, who would try to tear down this podcast? We're just normal men. Just innocent men.
There's that one guy on Reset Era, he hates me. It's like he hates everything I do. I don't know what to do.
Listen, for every person in this industry, there is one Reset Era poster that hates them. That is just, you are assigned one the second you take on this job. So
I just don't know what to do.
I'll tell you what to do. Stop reading it.
Brad Shoemaker, stop
reading it.
Stop reading it. That's not what I do. I engage. I'm out there. I'm just trying to make friends.
Just don't look.
I got a little bit of interesting insight into some internet psychology reading our Discord yesterday. People were talking about AI, not the ecological threat / economic catastrophe AI.
Okay.
The Steven Spielberg major motion picture AI.
Oh, you mean AI artificial intelligence?
That one.
That's the one.
I apologize to whoever said this. I don't remember your username. But they said that movie may be the very first example of the phenomenon of, well, the person I like did all the stuff I like in that, and the person I don't like did all the stuff I don't like.
The person I like did all the stuff I like.
Yeah.
Like the whole. Well, obviously, all the good parts of that movie are Kubrick, and all the bad parts are Spielberg.
Oh,
the person that I am predisposed to liking for irrational reasons clearly was the only positive influence on this piece of content.
Got it. Okay, interesting.
And vice versa.
Okay, look, I don't like that movie that much, but calling it a piece of content feels like a little bit insulting, even.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I despise the word content.
Me too.
Don't get me wrong.
What if we just stopped using it?
People really hate that. I never had that problem with content.
It is debasing.
To what?
It debases the art. It debases the work, the material.
No, we make content. Steven Spielberg does not make content.
Yeah, I mean, you got to use it in the right way. I mean, if I'm saying like, hey, Giant Bomb's content is behind a paywall, I wouldn't say Giant Bomb's art is behind a paywall.
It's just too generic. It's not even an artistic value thing. It flattens everything into a uniform gray sludge.
I just feel like marketing people or something got a hold of that word and ruined it. It was such a useful word to use because it is you make content and then you talk about the content. The work. What's the synonym?
Material. How about
materials? Like the materials are what you give out for a promotion. Here are my promotion materials.
Listen, think of it like this, okay? Content is just what you fill something up with. Like you are literally just filling a container with content.
Yes, that is a great description of the problem.
Yeah, we filled up our pages of the website with content.
Exactly. We filled up our weekly release schedule with content.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, appropriately used. It is everything is art.
I don't know. Some of what we did at Giant Bomb, I think, was bordered on art.
It's fine art. Look.
Yeah.
I believe
art.
Everything can be art. Some stuff can be content. The knee jerk. There was like a period there where people were like, "Don't say the word content anymore." I was like, it's a really useful word for talking about bulk.
But it became too useful. That's the problem.
Well, I think once we got into content creators, then everything just went south. And
that's what we are, Vinny.
Yeah.
So you're saying we ruined it?
Yeah, Brad. So you're saying use what would you say? Material?
How about podcast or video or stream?
What is the stuff that would have gone? I think this is where it came up for me, and somebody was like, I hate that word. And I was like, well, then give me the word to describe the stuff we do that goes up on the site. That is not podcast, video, text.
My children.
Okay.
Every podcast is my child that I have raised from the womb.
This is probably why Reset Era guy hates me. I probably used some kind of content, used it in the wrong place, and then complained about it. And look, if all we were doing is complaining about the use of content these days, life would be so much easier.
Yeah, if that was the worst thing happening right now, imagine that.
Yeah. What a world we'd live in.
Well, let me tell you just how upside down things are right now. So, I don't know if I've talked much about this on here. My stepsister has a couple of kids. They are the ones that I see the most and I'm generally closest to. And she is, how do I put this? Vehemently anti-video games.
Vehemently.
Okay.
Yeah, not in like a I don't ever want any video game in my house, but in a I think modern video games are insanely violent and disgusting and I don't like them.
Okay.
Kind of way.
Okay.
Let me put it this way. She just introduced them to video games not that long ago, and it's with her Wii from 2006.
The worst video games.
Yeah. The Wii games that she owns are the only games that she owns, and that is the stuff that she is allowing her kids, who are admittedly not that old. Like, they're in, like, first grade and starting, preschool pretty soon.
So the osmosis has not quite set in yet, because, like, soon enough, all of their friends will be playing Fortnite on their phones all around them.
Exactly.
And then they're done.
So, but she had a Wii for herself, personal use?
Yeah, I don't remember when I think she got it when, like, everyone was buying Wiis. You know, she kind of got it just, to play, like, Wii Sports and a few other things. But, it's been in storage for a long time because she does not actively play video games, is not that interested in them.
Okay.
But her husband and the kids have expressed an interest. Her husband really wants a PS5. She's like, no.
Okay.
But she's beginning to buckle a bit. And she was asking me over the weekend, should I buy a Switch?
And what was your answer?
So I took her through the steps here. I explained to her kindly that there is a new Switch coming, possibly within the next 6 months, and that, it will play original Switch games and all that fun stuff. Her answer was, these kids barely understand video games.
Uh-huh.
They probably just want to play Mario Kart and Mario.
Okay.
For the next, will I be okay if I buy, let's say, a used or refurbished Switch OLED, and then in a year or two, when it's someone's birthday, maybe we invest in a Switch too? And I said, yes, I think that's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, that's especially with the backwards compatibility. That's probably the actual right answer. As much as
with two kids, also.
Yeah, as much as I struggle mightily with that question when I run into the scenario of like, oh, you should just wait. The good one's on the way. It's almost here. But then, like, yes. Normal people just want to buy something and play video games. They don't want to obsess. They don't want to obsess over getting the best thing at the best time.
Yeah. And they clearly are interested in the games, and she does not want anything that is just like, a lot of violence and blood. And I'm like, well, there was a little bit of that on the Switch, but it's a pretty easy to avoid. And I think the majority of things that you will want to play with them are available on that platform.
Yeah. I think by them getting a Switch now, you're probably not getting a Switch 2.
Not this year.
In the near future.
Yeah. But then, maybe in a couple of years.
Yeah. I wonder if she does she have a problem with like screens at all on other stuff like TV, iPad, YouTube?
It's about limiting, I think, more than anything else. Like, she's not trying to block them from ever having access to screens, because that's just not realistic. But I think she is very much about, like, just trying to make sure that they are getting enough time away from that stuff as well.
Because you could do the thing that we do here, which is just keep it docked so that there's no monopolizing the Switch. Get some extra controllers.
Oh, I did tell her to get some Pro controllers, because at a certain point, I know those Joy-Cons are not going to last.
Yeah. And I think, if you get the Switch 2, I just feel like the Switch 1, it just collects dust at that point, because unless there's really not a hardcore video game scene going on, the person who gets stuck with the original Switch is not going to be able to play those sick Switch 2 games, but it kind of depends on what they do for Switch 2 games exclusively, I guess.
Yeah,
totally.
Or it depends on if they're the type of person for whom, like, Fortnite is video games or Minecraft is video games. If they just play the one game all the time, then a Switch 1 is fine.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, they have not really gotten beyond, kind of the scope of what is in front of them. Like, they are not asking about things like Fortnite or Minecraft or any of that. It's more just like, this is kind of their intro to video games, is what she had for the Wii.
Yeah.
And now they're, like, curious about other stuff. So I'm like, yeah, you should try out Mario Kart. You should play Mario Odyssey. You should maybe grab a Mario Party. I wouldn't, but for your family, I think that would probably go pretty well.
Sure.
And then when they're like a year or two older, maybe you can start introducing them more stuff like Metroid. And I mean, apparently they've played some Twilight Princess and liked it. So.
Oh wow! Wait, really? At that age?
Yes. The older one was doing the playing, I think.
First grade. Okay. That's
it's not crazy.
No. No, it's but it is maybe beyond where I would have given credit for somebody that doesn't play video games. I mean, that's a pretty that's a fairly complex game for somebody who camera controls and 3D running around and stuff like that. Hey, look, you could always airdrop in and be the cool uncle and be like, hey man, Switch 2.
Just walk in, put on my sunglasses, start throwing Switch 2s at everyone in the house.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, you're
making it rain.
Setting yourself up for be like, hey, check it out, Switch 2.
I'm not the uncle that works at Nintendo, but I am the uncle who gets emails from Nintendo with games on launch day.
Do you think prices for refurb Switch OLEDs dropped a little bit with the Switch 2 announcement? I guess we don't have a firm date yet, so maybe...
Yeah, I don't have that data in front of me, but my understanding was she was able to get a refurb pretty cheap.
Oh, she got it.
Yeah, she got it. It was literally a day of back and forth where I was like, hey, you should talk to, your husband, decide hey, does it make sense to wait a few months, whatever. She just made the call the next day.
So he went from PS5 to Switch.
He's willing to make this compromise as long as it means he gets to play video games with the kids, I think.
I don't think I realized Nintendo sells refurbs themselves.
They do, yeah.
Looks like it's $30 off. An OLED refurb off retail.
Maybe it's got some kind of warranty. Yeah, if it's from Nintendo.
Yeah, if it's from Nintendo, I bet there is some kind of warranty on it. And also, that's basically the cost of one Pro controller right there. So worth it.
Do you know, did she pick up any games?
I don't know which one she specifically got, but I did give her 4 or 5 recommendations, including the ones I mentioned. And I figured that's a good starting point.
Yeah.
And they're all going to want to play Mario Kart. That much I feel very confident in.
They should get that the one where you hold hands and you got to traverse. Remember that one? Hang in there or whatever it was, and you could fart your competition.
I'm really trying not to tear this family apart, Vinny.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right. Well, just saying. That's a fun one.
I mean, Dan and I are still repairing our relationship over that game, so
building back up the foundations.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think I'm tormenting him so much on Blight Club?
Because it's Dan.
Well, yeah, that's the real reason. Fine.
Because you love to make him do the content grind.
No, that's art.
That's do you just
Drink of the 99 Dragons is
art. Okay, well, now
it's not good art, but it is art.
Hey, that has always been my argument. Everything is art, but it's not all good art. Too many people just associate
most of it
art,
isn't really. Yeah,
with being good art, and it's
on balance.
No. You need to accept into your heart that there is bad and terrible art. All right, let's get moving into
farts and crafts.
Mm-hmm. Let's get moving into some of the video games we got going on. Let's maybe start here with one that just stealth dropped. What do we call this? Drippity dropped?
Shadow drop, I think is what some people...
Benny, if you say drippity dropped again, I'm putting you in a home.
That dropped during the developer direct. While they were announcing some stuff we'll talk about later in the news, but heads up, it's Ninja Gaiden related. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, not Ninja Gaiden 2 Sigma Black.
No.
Just to be clear. Clear.
It's different.
I keep wanting to call it Ninja Gaiden Black 2, but that is wrong.
That's wrong.
From a branding standpoint.
Alex, I mentioned this to you before the show, just to clarify, and you had a great, concise explanation for me, which was apparently this does not have the Sigma-fication stuff in it. This is more of Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yes.
Black being the definitive version.
It is an adjusted version of Ninja Gaiden 2, which is why I think it is not just called Ninja Gaiden 2, but it is not the Sigma stuff, from what I can tell.
Yeah, and in the same way that Ninja Gaiden Black came out for one.
Yeah,
on the Xbox though. Black was on the Xbox.
I believe so.
That the first one was on the same console as the original. This is way different from that, but
these naming conventions suck ass. It's a real thing.
It's a lot. Sigma was the PS3 release of 2, I believe. Correct?
I believe that's correct. I'm going to go with you and just say yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Look, I booted it up. Played some of this.
What's your Ninja Gaiden fondness level? How into 1 and 2 were you?
So 1 very.
Okay.
That was,
I do remember you had that save. We booted up your old Xbox at one point.
Yeah, 1 extremely enjoyed it. It was the first thing I got on that HD TV that I went up playing. It was amazing. Looked great. Loved it. Great.
Mean, but great.
Mean, but great. 2, not as much. 2, I don't even know if I finished 2, possibly, but 2, definitely not as much. And then all the Black and Sigmas and stuff like that, I did not go back into.
Okay.
Yeah.
And no one played Ninja Gaiden 3 except me.
Three's the bad one, right?
3 is real bad.
Like in the world, nobody played it but you.
No, I reviewed it, so yeah.
Yeah, so I booted this up. This is obviously this is on Unreal Engine. This is it looks nice. So
Team Ninja did this internally, right? Like this new version.
I'm not sure if they've said.
Okay.
We'll get to it later. Like Platinum obviously is heavily involved in 4, but I don't know if they said who actually handled development on this.
Okay.
But yeah, it's UE5, and you kind of see it. It looks nice. I always have that problem of like, oh yeah, this is kind of how I remember it, but it definitely. But
how you remember it is never how it was.
Right? Yeah, exactly. My thing is, I have lost all my Ninja Gaiden. Whatever I had in Ninja Gaiden, I lost it.
Oh yeah, no, mine went away a long time ago.
It's gone. I suck at that game. I'm terrible. Mm-hmm. I suck.
Does this not ramp you back in, or is this more of a I'm too old now for this?
Well, so in 2, I was playing and I was like, I don't remember any of this. In 1, I could still remember the beginning. You're like running through the ninja village, This is like on a rooftop in like a cyber city, and I'm like, what am I even doing? Is there a parry system? Gosh, I don't even remember this. They do have some kind of like tutorializations, but it's not handholdy in the way that maybe I need as an old man. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just not that good at it. And after an hour or so in it, I was definitely getting better, but I don't know. It wasn't clicking with me. Like it just wasn't doing it for me. So I'm not sure I'm going to keep going with it. With this remake, or remaster, or to be more correct.
Yes, this content.
It's fast. Frame rate's good. At least what I played it. Like I said, I didn't get up to anything bananas. A lot of blood going all over the place.
I think I saw. I saw it's got 120 hertz modes on both consoles, which is cool.
Yeah,
for a game like this.
Right, so don't recommend this one to my stepsister. Got it.
There's a lot of blood, a lot of murder, a lot of limbs getting chopped off. Got your nin pose.
I never played 2. I only played a little bit of the first Xbox one, but I always felt like these games were basically like fighting games, but against a bunch of people at once.
Ure.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
well, I mean, I guess a fighting game implies that both characters have got similar skill sets, and like these are all, what's the term?
Like mobs.
Fodder.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They are what I like to call ninja content. You just
of course,
yes.
Yes.
Foot soldiers.
Yeah, look, they're there to be chopped in half.
Yes, So the point is, I guess it's not exactly a fighting game because those guys can't do the things you can do, but like the moveset always felt like you were doing fighting game command inputs, right?
Yes,
and getting sort of fighting game grapples and stuff out of them.
Let me put it this way: it's the closest thing to like an action game of this type, where it feels like sometimes you're playing footsies with the enemy. Like you are literally trying to feel them out in a way that maybe you don't with other games of this type.
Well, you get swarmed and you chop guys in half too, right? Like you're doing cool ninja shit.
Yes.
My thing was like they come at you, they're aggressive, and you need to be aggressive back.
I guess that's what it is. Is like it never just felt like a God of War style character action game where you're just wailing on people. But it's not a Dark Souls either, which it sounds like there are people out there playing this who have never played Ninja Gaiden before because this is a new release, and they're like, I should stream that. And a lot of people are coming at this like it's a Dark Souls game.
Oh, slowly and methodically.
And just getting rinsed by it.
That's funny.
Which is very amusing to me.
Yeah, it's like, again, I have lost whatever. I consider myself to be okay at Ninja Gaiden at some point. Was like able to make it through and did a lot of stuff in Ninja Gaiden 1. Terrible now, but they weren't mashers. You're not going to mash your way through. You kind of need to know the combos, and you need to be deliberate about what you're doing, or at least from what I remember. But there's a lot of stuff happening on screen where you can't take your time and kind of I don't know, think about stuff too much. You know what I mean?
No.
Like you need to clear the board.
you need to be reacting, but the thing is, like, you do have to be a little bit careful about it because, like you said, you cannot mash your way through these games, not for very long anyway.
Yeah, like they'll come at you, and like you'll get kind of hung up, and especially I suspect as things go on, I was still in the first stage, and it's aggressive. It's an aggressive game.
It was beating your ass, is what you're saying.
It was beating my ass in a way that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how bad I am at this.
Look, being a ninja requires a certain amount of nimbleness that maybe men of our age just don't have.
Yeah. I felt like I was like, man, I just don't. Where's the dodge, the parry, the like all the stuff. I wanted to get back into it because I remember loving the feeling of that game, at least the first one. Mm-hmm. And this one just felt like I couldn't wrap my head around it in the time I spent with it.
I mean, with all things, some of that stuff will come back with time. The question is, how much time do you want to dedicate to it? That's
the thing. Like, I'm not sure. I think I'd rather just save my ninja-ing for the next installment.
Which we'll talk about later.
Yeah, right, exactly. But, the action still seemed fun. Camera controls, I didn't remember this in the first one. I certainly can't remember from the second one. But there is a like toggle to find the way to go in this game. You like hold down right bumper and it, like the camera spins behind Ryu to be like, you should go this way, man. I'm like, oh, okay, great. So yeah, Ninja Gaiden. Oh, sorry, let me get the name right. Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. Cool that they released it.
Yeah, very unexpected.
I think those games, genuinely, I have a soft spot again for the first one. And Greg Kasabian's review of the first one, where he had the ninja mask on.
God, he loved that game.
He sold me on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Made me miserable, and I don't blame him.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if it was 2 or Sigma, whatever, it was like Ryan Davis with the fucking ghost fish, that would, the like little ghost piranhas that would come out of the treasure chest. And yeah, they were like trapped treasure chests. I can't quite remember.
God, I forgot more about that game than I remember.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly which one that was, but he did not have a good time with those. I think we made a little video about it with those little flip cams. Remember those things? Of him just like screaming about them.
Weren't those things called zooms?
Gosh, they might have been.
I think, wasn't that a zoom camera of some kind? That's going to be impossible to Google for now.
Yeah.
Was a Flip a company name?
Wait, no, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it was Flip the corporate. Like, oh man, I have no idea now.
Where are those things? They're probably in a box somewhere.
You mean those exact cameras that we had? These specific items? Where did they end up?
I don't think I've seen those in like 15 years. So
what's on those things?
It's nothing good.
Oh, you're right. Flip Video was the name of the company.
So yeah, I don't know where those things are, and their recording quality was terrible. They were garbage.
Yeah,
I think we recorded in black and white because it was slightly better, and you could see stuff in it. Anyway, Ninja Gaiden, it's back. We'll talk more about Ninja Gaiden in a hot second here. But before we do that, Alex,
yeah,
why don't you talk to me about Tokyo Xtreme Racer, the early access racing game that is taking the world by storm.
Talking about Japanese video games from the PS2 Xbox era coming back.
That's all we have left.
It's just Ninja Gaiden and Tokyo Xtreme Racer. It's all that's left. This game, okay, so I don't remember if I reviewed or played one of them at some point. There were a bunch of these, I think around the PS2, PS3 era primarily. I want to say maybe Crave was involved. I don't remember. But the Genki, the company that I think actually developed those games, is making a new one, and it is out in early access on Steam right now. And this is a racing game in the grand tradition of Japanese-style street racing, which is to say you are driving around these big closed-loop, highway systems around Tokyo, and you are challenging other racers by flashing your headlights at their rear window.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
Yeah, that's the way it's done. It's not like big... Midnight Club style races where it's like 10 or 12 cars going at once. It is you going head to head against a bunch of other racers. And the way it's kind of broken up is that you go in, you start a night. You can decide whether you want to go in the outer loop or the inner loop because there isn't really a way to go like change directions if you start in a direction. Okay. There are parking areas you can go to that then let you decide if you're going to like go the other direction for the rest of the night. But basically on the map, there are these little triangles that are like, here are the rivals that you either haven't beat or have been beaten. They have beaten you or whatever. And you got to go find them. You got to chase them down. You got to flash your lights. And then you got to outrun them.
And so those are all computer-controlled rivals?
Yes.
Okay.
And they have absolutely ridiculous names.
Like screen names or like proper names?
I don't know how to describe them. They feel randomly generated, but I think they are not. It is just that thing where like it's that Japanese thing where they will give you an extremely literal sounding nickname.
Okay.
It's like, that just seems like slightly wordy, but it's what they're going with.
Like the one who drives fast or something?
Kind of, yeah.
Oh,
like
okay.
It's in that vein,
Okay.
100%, yeah. And so, but you kind of go through and you take down these crews and you progress by, beating more and more of them. Then new areas of the highway system open up and you can customize the shit out of your cars in exactly the ways you would think, with parts and neons and what have you.
So is this an entirely new game?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
It's not a remake of an old one. It is a new Tokyo Xtreme Racer.
I thought this was some kind of remaster of the original game or one of the early ones. I did not realize they made a whole new one.
I mean, it's new in that it is a new game, but it is very much in the style from what I remember of those old games.
You were right. Crave did publish these back in the day, which, like, no offense.
Why do I remember that?
No offense to Crave or anything, but the fact that people were this excited about a new entry and something Crave put out just really highlights the power of nostalgia.
Yeah, here's the thing. I didn't remember really loving any of those games, but they had an audience. I have some friends that felt very fondly about Tokyo Xtreme Racer games, and I feel like coming to this now, I mean, it's obviously not complete. There's some stuff in the menus where it's like typos and things like that. Some of the racing AI sometimes seems a little bit broken, but not like terribly. But it's such a PS2 era racing throwback. Like, it is such a throwback thing that I totally understand why people who liked those games like 20 years ago would be like, you know what? Now it is time for another one of these. Totally.
Yeah, 100%. These, I just looked it up. This is Shutoko Battle is the name of the original Japanese franchise, which I've heard of and I think was pretty respected. So
yeah,
like these games.
Yeah, Tokyo Xtreme Racer was the Western title.
Right. These games have actually been around for like over 30 years now.
Yeah, again, there may have been one on the original PlayStation. I don't remember.
Super Famicom, I believe, was the first one.
Damn, really? Okay. I definitely don't know that version of this game.
I just had to look up some footage to get a sense of what these names were like that you were talking about. And I have so far seen the Nameless one.
Yeah.
Nameless Worker.
Mm-hmm.
Eternal Polaris.
Yes, I've beaten Eternal Polaris.
Okay, good. All right, they do sound like they are from a generator. They sound like they're almost like the ship generator in Helldivers.
But it's great, and I'm all for it. And like, again, it is very much about just like tricking out your ride and making it better, and also buying more cars, which I haven't actually done yet. I've been rocking my Toyota for a while now, but it seems like they have a decent number of car brands in there and stuff you can kind of play around with.
Have you beaten Great Finance?
I'm not sure I have come to Great Finance at this time.
There's no beating Great Finance. I think if we've
they're
learned
beating
anything.
us, clearly.
Have you flashed your headlights at Great Finance?
You don't want to do that, man. You do not want to incur that wrath. They've got NOS.
Well, for a throwback game for $30, you're having a good time?
Yeah, good enough. Like I'm curious to see where they build it out, but like the core game seems like it is there.
Yeah.
It is that throwback though. Like you need to go in with the understanding that like you are playing and it looks nice, but it is an old style of racing game.
Is it PC only right now? Do you know? Because it's early access on Steam.
Yeah, I think it is right now only on PC.
Interesting.
Something. Did you play it on your Steam Deck? Seems like a good one to
not yet.
Little Steam Deck throwback.
Haven't tried it. I did try it on my regular PC though, and plays great. Like runs great.
Fantastic. Tokyo Xtreme Racer in early access, $30.
Mm-hmm.
That Ninja Gaiden 2 Black Edition, $50. By the way, if you want to get.
But also on Game Pass.
On Game Pass, yeah. Also available on PS5 and PC if you want to get your Ninja Gaiden there. Like we just said, the Tokyo Xtreme Racer available on PC only, at least right now.
The personal computer.
Personal computer. All right. That's going to do it for right now. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about a few more games. But first, this little break. Stick around. All right, we are back. And there's some other stuff here going on. Let's see. I spent some time, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I'm still working through it. Total Warhammer 3. I'm prepping to do a thing with Mike Mahardy, who is apparently a Total Warhammer sicko, if you will.
Aficionado?
Sure.
No, I like sicko. I like
connoisseur.
If you want to be nice about it. I had never really played a lot of Total Warhammer. I did for a couple of features. I think I played one with Austin once, and I've heard so many good things about Total War series from people I respect, being like, oh yeah, like the Total War series is a lot of fun. And you remember when like Total War would be used, I guess like on History Channel, and they'd like do recreate battles and be like, look, you could set up these battles, and we made the engine available to do these things and do this. And like I tolerate Warhammer because it's not Warhammer 40K, which is the stuff I actually follow a little bit more. Warhammer Fantasy is a little less of the stuff I follow. But yeah, I'm chewing through it, tutorializing, getting my head around it. It's a lot. There's a lot of battling happening.
That's kind of all you do in that universe, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of RPG stuff too. There's a lot of like equipping your, at least in 3. Again, I have no idea what's going on in the rest of the series. You're putting points in your main character and other characters and stuff. So.
Oh. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay. Are these games not just your standard Total War then? Because like I know of the historical Total War games as just giant armies clashing on the battlefield.
Armies. That's what I figured.
Is that not what this is?
So you have hero units, basically. It seems like to me, and again, not an expert, still going through it. Hero units or a hero, a leader, and you could pick up armor. Like that gives you buffs for your big armies, right? And then you're on the overmap, the world map, moving your hero unit around, taking settlements, building other parts Civ style in the settlement. I don't know how deep this gets, but this is what I'm doing. And then you engage in giant battles, and it goes to another map, and you're like moving giant armies around, flanking, doing the formations and all of that stuff. With in Warhammer, you have like special abilities on your hero unit that is like, hey, the hero unit's near the army, they get a buff, and like pop your special ability, and they all like rah, and they rally and all that stuff. So yeah, it's I can't tell if it doesn't seem overly complicated, just basically a lot in there, right? I'm not like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get this. It's just more like, oh, okay, there are a lot of things here I need to keep in mind as I'm going through it. Pretty fun though to do some flanking. That's what everybody wants to play these games about, right? Like you got to flank an army. You're gonna get up on their side and take them out.
Is that what they call it? A flanking army?
Flanking army.
What is the army control like? Are you like drag selecting big masses of troops to move them around, or you like hotkeying stuff, or
all of it?
Battalions on different keys.
So you can group together armies, so you can put them on a hotkey, right? Like, or I guess battalion has a certain number associated, right? Like a legion, a battalion, right?
I really like years ago should have just sat the fuck down and been like, all right, what is a division versus a battalion? These have real definitions, right?
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna say you can a mass of soldiers as one unit, right? You can group with another mass of soldiers as another unit. And hotkey those and have them do their thing. You can whip select. I'm going to steal that term again. You can group select stuff if you want. There's probably a lot more. Again, I'm still learning all the controls. And then what's cool is you when you deploy them, move them forward, you can hold the mouse button and drag for your formation to group them up or spread them out into a line. And they'll keep their formation. So like ranged characters like archers might want to keep in the back of the line, and spearmen might want to keep in the front or the side. So they'll try and move and form when they're done, when you deploy. And that's cool. That's neat. So anyway, just been spending some time in there. It's long, everything takes a long time. It's not one of those things where I think all of us are used to sometimes be like, okay, I'm going to go prep for this thing. I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to burn through it. And here I'm like, oh no. You're
going to be here a while.
I'm going to be here a little bit. I'm going to be taking my time trying to figure this out. The battles take a long time.
You're stuck playing the other Warhammer.
Mm-hmm.
The other Warhammer. The
Is
total Warhammer.
Is there, I don't know how to define this exactly. Is there any, like, animus is too strong a word. Distrust, I don't know, between the two Warhammers? Like, do people who like 40K sort of like give the side eye to people who like regular Warhammer and vice versa? You know what I mean? Or
so, like, I like 40K. I think that universe is exponentially more interesting than the fantasy universe. But I'm not that deep into either, so I don't know for realsies. Do people shun it or look down upon the other? I don't know. The 40K lore was always more interesting to me than the fantasy lore.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, what was it that is like the differentiating factor for you?
It's the ridiculous 40K lore of like the kind of lost humanity. Everybody's kind of the bad guys, except maybe the orcs who are just out there to have a good time. Maybe that's the same in the fantasy. I don't know. But there's like nothing noble about a space marine.
Yeah.
So, you know,
how many people a day do they sacrifice to the Emperor?
The Psychers, I don't remember enough to keep
10,000 a day or something.
Yeah, like that whole thing, and like the loss of technology and all of that stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, fantasy has the was it the Skaven, the rat guys?
Yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Vermintide was cool. That's like Vermintide, like.
It's just such a withering comment. They got those rat guys. That's interesting, I guess. I don't know.
Hey, that's have your fun with them. Yeah.
Your tone is very pointed.
That was like my closest exposure to regular Warhammer, not 40K Warhammer, and like it seemed fun.
Yeah,
there were a lot of anthropomorphized rats. Yes.
Yeah, like to be honest, that's kind of what I know about it too. I also know that I am aware, I should say, because I don't want to give myself too much credit, about some of their rebooting of that fantasy universe a couple of times, like the end of it and rebooting of it. Anyway, this is Total War Warhammer 3, just in terms of a lot of clicking, selecting, moving armies. Pretty good. I don't know. Could I get into the Total War series of things? I don't know. We'll see. I'll find out with Mike Mahardy if Warhammer is the entry point into the Total War. I think Rob over at Remap is I think he likes the Shogun one, right?
Yeah. He talked about that some when he was on.
Yeah.
At one point here.
Yeah. All right. We've got some other things here. Brad, you booted up Hollow Knight.
Yes. Catch up January continues.
Yum. Delicious.
Or is about to end, actually. But anyway, February has games coming out. Hollow Knight is a Metroidvania with some really nice hand-drawn 2D art. It's got some interesting design decisions. It's weird. I feel like more people would know about this game, you know? It seems like nobody ever talks about this thing.
These small indies, they kind of come and go. There's so many of them now.
You know, but hey, sometimes it's nice to discover a little hidden gem that got overlooked.
Totally.
Years ago when it came out. No.
Yeah, from 2017?
16, I want to say, somewhere around there.
Yes.
I played some Hollow Knight. I streamed Hollow Knight last week because the developers made the momentous move of saying, "Hey, we're still making Silksong."
So news about Silksong.
Practically put that in the news last week. They literally just tweeted like, "Hey, we're still making it and it's still coming out." Was basically the extent of the messaging on that. And off the back of that, I was like, well, fine. I'll stream. I got a stream to fill. Maybe I'll play some Hollow Knight finally.
So what was your experience prior to this?
I don't think I've ever touched it.
Really?
Not that I remember. Okay. And I certainly don't remember the beginning of it from when I played it last week. It was all new to me, so I don't think I ever I own it on 4 platforms.
Okay. All right.
I remember I bought it on, did it come out on Switch while we were at E3? I want to say, I remember buying it on Switch. Right. When I was in a position to maybe play it on the Switch and then never got around to it and then ended up with just copies of Hollow Knight kept accruing at some point. I played a little bit more since the stream, not a ton, but I'm glad to know what the early parts of that game are and specifically what it is about the map that everybody always either sort of lauds or complains about.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's a Metroidvania, but you start out with no mapping tools. You have to go grind currency to buy a map and a compass that shows where you are, and
it's like a vendor, right? That you have to follow around for more map.
there's a bunch of, and yes, every news. Well, I mean, this part is more typical of Metroidvania. Is like every new zone, you have to go buy a new map. But I believe in this case, you have to go buy the map for each zone to even begin mapping the map. Like you can't fill in, I don't think, any of the map in a given zone until you find the vendor.
It has been a long time for me. And then
and then after you buy all the stuff to auto map, the map still does not fill in as you roam. You have to go find a bench to rest at, and then you fill in all the maps.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like the lamppost or whatever on the bench. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I like some people have variously complained about that system. It feels like a decent amount over the years. Like I didn't find it that bad. Like, yes, there is definitely some friction to finding your way around early on, but
there's some work involved.
But it seems, it's fine.
What do you think of the controls?
It's fine. I don't know if you get more weapons. Like you start off with basically just a slash. There's not even a combo to it. It's just a very basic melee attack, which feels like it's ripe for some sort of comboification. Let's say later on, and not just kind of whacking with the same exact move over and over and over.
I want to say you get a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been a long time. I don't think I ever finished it, but
it looked like there's a slot in the menu for maybe slotting other weapons on top of that. But and then the I don't remember what the term is, but the kind of like perk system, you get like kind of little tokens that all have abilities on them. And then you have a budget, it's like, oh, this ability takes 2, I think notch is the currency, it's like, oh, you have 3 notches to work with. Some of these tokens take 1 notch, some of them take 2, so you can equip as many as you have the budget for. And it seemed like there are a ton of those in the game, and I got the sense from chat when I was streaming it that you can come up with some pretty interesting builds based on those by the end of the game.
Did you get any new powers?
Pretty, just out of those, like just the little abilities that you equip in those slots.
The little charms or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
I beat the first couple bosses. I'm in like the second major area, the big green area.
Okay.
The thing that actually has stood out the most to me about it isn't even necessarily exactly about the game. It's that I was playing it on the Xbox just because I have a Series S at my desk and it was easy to capture from. So I was like, I'll just play the Xbox version for this stream. Then I went back and played it on the Series X hooked up to my big TV later.
Okay.
And like every once in a while you play a game like this and it makes you really appreciate all the work that Microsoft has done to make old games better. Because this game's got the frame rate boost in it, so it runs at 120 on the Xbox, which it does not on the PS5, and that makes that game look sharp as hell because the art in that game is fantastic. And having it at double the frame rate makes it super responsive and makes it, that helps with like blurring as you're running around in a game like that. Like it just looks so sharp in motion. And I don't think it has built-in HDR either. I think it's the auto HDR that kicks in.
Oh, interesting.
As well on the Xbox, and that game also looks rad with HDR. Like running around in that green area I'm in, I forget what the name of it is, but it's like a very plant heavy. It's like tons of foliage and stuff, but like just with the way the art is rad in that game and the way the highlights pop and everything with that HDR, like it just looked. I fired it, because I was playing it on my PC monitor on that stream, and I was like, oh, this looks fine. Like the art is really well rendered. It's animated well. But then when I fired it up on that big TV, I was like, damn, like this looks absolutely excellent. Like this makes me want to see what they do with Silksong just from a visual perspective, but also, it was just like I don't play a lot of games on the Xbox these days. Like almost all my console time is on the PS5 now. But like once in a while you roll back over to the Xbox and you're like, they really have put a lot of work into enhancing a lot of this old stuff in a way that's just kind of nice to see.
What is the I at this point I think I only know they released Silksong as kind of a joke, but is it just something they have said is coming for such a long time, or is it just
it's been in development for a long time?
Forever?
It's been in development forever.
Okay. And like did they have dates that they were going to show more or announce that they never hit?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think they have been extremely mum.
Okay.
Let's say about updates on that game.
I mean, obviously it's got a name or a code name, right?
Yeah, I don't know when they announced it actually.
But now, now I just know it as the thing that in any kind of gaming press conference or announcement, people are waiting for Silksong.
Yeah, is this going to be the one?
Like that game's name will trend on social media just because they announce like a Nintendo Direct or something.
Right? Yes,
they
exactly.
Don't even announce that Hollow Knight will be featured at the Direct, and people still lose their minds about it.
Contrary to what we said at the beginning, it is a beloved game.
Oh yeah, I don't love it, but apparently there's a huge audience for it, and I understand their consternation when it comes to why there isn't more of it. Why hasn't Silksong come yet? But at the same time, there's so many fucking video games, man. Like, are we really pinning all our hopes and dreams to this one video game?
And even a lot of Metroidvanias. I mean, I know they're not all Hollow Knight, but like, there's a lot of other games out. Like, I keep thinking about firing up Nine Souls as well.
Sure, yeah.
Which is a much more recent game. 6 years, just about 6 years since Hollow Knight Silksong was revealed in a trailer.
Okay,
that is a while.
Decent amount of time, and probably not a lot more information on it since then.
No, not much. Chat was saying when I was streaming it, people were saying it's still a very small team.
Okay. Is it Team Cherry?
Team Cherry.
Okay.
And there's a lot of, oh God.
Yes.
The voice acting in that game.
I don't remember voice acting in that game.
I have a vague recollection.
Is a stretch because it's not. Well, no, it's not. It's not. It's like an unintelligible, like fake bug. It's like a fake bug language.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were just.
It's a chittering, if I remember correctly.
Well, no. It's verbal sounds, but it's people literally just making some kind of gibberish sounds into a microphone.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And they put no processing on it at all.
So it's just like
it literally.
Okay.
You're running around in this like fairly like regal but dilapidated bug kingdom, subterranean
as
empire.
One does.
And then all of a sudden, just out of the like, I literally like kind of didn't beat a boss because I was laughing so hard at the sounds coming out of the boss that I didn't get the hits in time. Because you have to make the boss vulnerable so that its head pops out of its armor so you can hit it. And when the head pops out, it just kind of goes, bleh.
Oh, I remember that guy. Okay.
That I do remember, yeah.
And like all the voice acting is like that. It's so dumb in a way that has to be intentional.
Okay.
Oh, I think it is, yeah.
Bapanada.
That's what they're, did you say Tapanada?
Bapanada.
Bapanada.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that.
Bapanada to you.
Anyway, I'm glad I know what that game is. I'm not going to like plow through the whole thing right now necessarily, but
wait for Silksong.
Yeah.
Coming out soon.
Or play that copy I bought on Switch on the Switch 2.
There you go.
When it comes out.
You also jumped into Crow Country.
Yes.
What'd you think of that?
Just catching up on stuff. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's one of the original Resident Evil throwbacks that have come out in the last couple of years. I think we talked about it back when it came out.
Yeah. This one, people were saying definitely, I'd like your opinion on this because, as not a PlayStation person, people were going back and forth on whether they felt more PlayStation or more GameCube for Crow Country in particular. Do you have an opinion?
What was the argument for GameCube?
I think it's more of the perspective and the kind of style, more of the style of this one, which is a little cutier, I think.
Yeah. I'd say like technically it's trying to be more PlayStation.
Okay.
I don't know. It's cool. Something about the gameplay has not quite clicked for me, though. Like the shooting, I have not gotten my head around. Did you talk about that when you played it? I feel like I remember you saying you didn't love the aiming either.
I maybe there's something about like the elevation on the aiming. I think I had a problem with.
That's exactly what I'm having a hard time. Like they emphasize headshots a lot. I mean, this is a game that looks like an old Resident Evil game. It's like kind of fixed-ish camera angles. You can spin the camera, but unless you do that, they're sort of fixed. If that makes sense. But yeah, they are really emphasizing headshots because there's not a lot of ammo to go around and they do a lot more damage, and I've not been lining up the headshots super well.
Yeah,
like I find the aiming just kind of swimmy, and even with the addition of the laser sight, it's still kind of hard to tell exactly how to line stuff up. And enemies are closing in on you constantly, of course, so you don't have much time.
I wind up doing a lot of running around the enemies.
Yeah, yes, I already have been doing that just to conserve ammo and stuff as well, but.
Yeah,
the camera is also pushed in like super close. It feels like
it's pretty tight, and that's like why I was wondering if maybe that stylistic thing. Again, not a big PlayStation owner at the time. If that was maybe more of the GameCube stuff,
but maybe.
I mean, it's splitting hairs. Who cares, really?
This feels a little claustrophobic even by those standards.
Okay,
it's like I think it's the combination of the camera being so close in and the way the aiming works. Like I started fighting those big spindly guys. If you remember those, they're like kind of huge marionette looking guys, and it's like. They're so tall that their head doesn't even get onto the screen until they're like halfway to you. And by then I was just like, man, I cannot hit these headshots. I need to just go.
And there's no way to pull the camera out. I don't remember.
Not that I've seen.
I mean, the environments and the set pieces are pretty tight too, and pretty cordoned off.
Yeah, yes, that was the other thing is the environments feel like, I don't know, it doesn't have quite the intricate like mansion feel of a Resident Evil. It feels a little more, I don't know how to characterize this. Like the environment feels a little less intricate, a little more like spread out.
It's an amusement park, and you know, it's a puzzle. It's a Resident Evil puzzly thing too. Like, hey, you got to find the gear or the wheel or the diamond or the eagle thing.
Gotta drain this pool without flooding the room full of poison gas.
Exactly.
On a timer.
I enjoyed what I played of it, but I did not spend a whole heck of a lot of time.
I thought you finished it.
No, I never did. No.
Okay.
No. Waiting for my Switch too.
Yeah, of course. I think it's really smart to put in both tank and modern controls on the controller at the same time. Like, if you want tank controls, use the D-pad. If you want modern controls, use the analog stick. So I thought that actually was a pretty smart way to split the difference there.
You think you'll keep going with it, or
maybe? Maybe, I don't know. It's like I said, the combat was not really clicking with me.
Okay. Plenty of other stuff out there, and like I said, we're getting it ready for February. My one last thing here, unless you guys have a lot more to talk about.
No.
I'm continuing with the Root Trees. That's I'm playing that with Abby. We played more of that. That game's awesome. Love it. Continuing to go there.
How many have you found so far?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. We're in what feels like maybe the second to last group of people to find. Maybe there's 2 more chunks before we're done. You know, they kind of cordon it off by releasing more information. So I think maybe 2 more, but enough left. Maybe halfway. Yeah. I can't remember.
All right.
But a lot. I have been playing a lot more Smash Brothers with my Smash Brothers Ultimate with my
choice
with my kids. My son really likes it. No. He plays it a lot. And
who's his main?
He is Ice Climbers or Samus, I want to say.
Okay.
And he's got a friend who is a Pac-Man main, and they're like fairly serious about their Smash Brothers thing.
Hang on, I'm sorry. Did you say a Pac-Man main?
A Pac-Man main or a Pac-Main?
Yeah, Pac-Main, actually, that you should use that.
I don't think I realized that Pac-Man was in that game.
Oh yeah,
they're all in that game, man.
In that game.
Have you looked at the full roster?
Not lately.
Yeah, he kicks my ass. Like he just trounces me up in it. He's at the point where he can beat both when I play and my daughter plays at the same time. He beats both of us. So I was like, all right. I was like, hey man, you know enough about this game now. Teach me what this game's about. Like, you know, you know enough about the actual mechanics of this game. And so we've been playing more, and I've been trying to learn more about Smash Brothers, and it's fun. I don't think I'm going to be good at Smash Brothers, but I would like to stay competitive. You know what I mean? You
don't want to be embarrassed by your child over and over again.
You know, you got to give him a bit of competition. If I can win like 2 out of every 10 matches, that'd be good. Like, otherwise, it's just boring to play, and I feel like I need to stay on top of it. So I'm.
You need it to grow up, man. If you can't beat your own son, are you truly a man?
No.
Exactly.
No.
You will never achieve manhood if you do not defeat him at Smash Brothers.
I used to be able to just mash my way through it, but now that he knows what he's doing, so I'm focusing on Rob. Rob seemed to be pretty high in the tier list. Rob is a character that I can get behind. I usually like playing the heavies, but I don't know. They were all ranked at shit tier. So I was like, all right, I gotta be competitive here.
How do you even know which tier list to trust?
There was one that he said to look at, which was like the something second tier list. It's like they've redone the tier list.
Second official tier list.
Yes, that was the one.
I believe is what I've got in front of me here.
Yes. Is it if it's the one with all the heavies at the bottom, like DDD and Ganondorf and basically everybody?
Wow, did they nerf all the heavies?
Ganondorf is an E, I see here.
Yeah.
And yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Man, I don't think it used to be that way. I feel like I saw a lot of Ganondorf in competitive Smash for a while there.
But, you know, I think it's based on who's playing which characters at tournaments and who's winning with them. So
and also probably what DLC has come along to potentially negate some of those characters.
Probably, I don't follow it closely enough.
Yeah, Rob does in fact appear to be S tier. Also, Steve from Minecraft.
Apparently, Steve, my son says, is the best player in the game because Steve
that's stupid.
Can put up walls. But yeah, like he does a thing where he can like separate the ice climbers, which is pretty cool. Like and they can like do separate things. I don't know if it's an official move or like a weird glitch out or something, but it's kind of cool.
That sounds like an affront to God.
They should never be separated.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. Like it's where I've been spending some of my gaming time. It's always fun to have somebody who knows what they're doing show you stuff or teach you stuff or try to explain it. And you know, it helps me get a little bit better at Smash. It reminded me, Brad, because you said, oh, it's cool to have the controls, tank controls on the D-pad and normal controls on the analog stick. And I think I'm always amazed that you cannot play that game with the D-pad. Like you have to use the analog stick. It always, something about anything that's going to call itself a fighter, even if it's a brawler or whatever
like you
it is.
should have the option.
You should always be able to use the D-pad. And there's something with like not being able to use the D-pad always strikes me as like, you're never going to be accepted until you let people use the D-pad.
It's just faster.
It's just, you know.
So much less travel on a D-pad. You can just click it faster.
How are you going to know if you're hitting your corners right? You know?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe analog movement is a big enough deal in Smash that...
Maybe.
Maybe.
There's all sorts... Oh, man. There's all sorts of lingo, like any fighting game genre. Like your was like your fair, your bear, like back air, forward air, down dare, like okay, like when you look up stuff on a Reddit or something, it's like Rob's dare sucks, or you know, whatever it is. It's just like I'd have to be like, what the hell are they talking about? It's like it's his down air, Dad, or neutral air, his nair. The nair is awesome on Rob. I was like, okay, all right, I'll trust. I mean, he does not have a lot of hair, so I'm gonna assume the nair is fantastic on Rob. But yeah, I don't know. Smash Brothers. I will always respect Smash Brothers Ultimate. Like if you look at the roster in that game, that is a gaming achievement.
It is voluminous.
It is. Somebody should be extremely proud, and not just because that game makes money hand over fist.
I think Sakurai is.
Yes,
so
it is a crowning achievement. I look at that thing, I'm like, this game has so many characters, and they're cool characters, and they're cool versions of characters, and that's just fun for nostalgia. Like that's
I don't know, man. Pac-Man is only an A, apparently. Who would want to main an A?
I know. I don't know. I think Ice Climbers is like B or C tier, right?
Yeah,
like, which is, you know, I think he
that's
picked
garbage.
Ice Climbers before he saw the tier list. And where's Samus? Samus up in the A or S's?
Samus is an A. Yes,
A tier. Okay, look.
Like you can get by with an A tier. I think you can rock an A tier.
What is it? Little Mac, I think, is like in the E tier, right?
Yeah, he's so little.
Yes, he is, in fact.
And Little Mac rocks.
Oh,
and
really?
So if you know how to use Little Mac, you can really like again. I think these tiers are made by what's getting used in tournaments and what the wins are.
Like the tiers are made to be upended.
That's right.
You know, like the meta is always changing. Somebody's just got to come along and develop some new Little Mac tech.
I don't know how you would do this mechanically, but just in the spirit of Little Mac, I feel like his tier should go up as the character beats people from higher tiers, right? like somehow it just makes him better, like universally. I don't know how this would work. This is a design problem I don't know how to solve, but it should be that way.
Do you know who is the silhouette looking character in the S tier? Do you know?
Oh, is it the Game & Watch character?
Oh, is that who that is?
I think that's the Game & Watch, yeah.
Oh, that's great. I didn't realize that guy is in there. That's awesome.
And in S tier, huh?
Yes.
They added so many characters to that game.
So many characters.
Oh my god.
My other favorite addition to Smash, I can't remember when she came in, but the Wii Fit lady.
Yep.
It's very funny that she's in there.
Like there are so many characters in that game that it's really, even though I've seen that game for what now? Is it like 8 years? I don't know how long that game has been out.
Ultimate?
Yeah.
6 maybe.
It's been a long
6 or 7.
time.
Yeah.
And I'm still just impressed every time I open that menu. And
yeah, rightfully so. It's crazy.
Yeah. So props to Smash.
I wish I liked Smash. Honest to God, I really wish I did.
Kind of where I'm at too. I respect that it exists. I don't necessarily love playing it, but it's cool.
It's just not my kind of fighting game.
The thing that I found is on that slightly higher tier, I enjoy it much more because it gets more technical, right? Like suddenly it gets into like, suddenly my son is now doing things like, good parries and like actual counters and air dodges in ways that I'm like, okay.
He's got tech.
Yeah. Like, okay. I need to teach me the ways. Like this is now has gone beyond me just charging my smash move and waiting for someone to fall into it so I can hit you real hard. Which is cool. It's cool. It's a fun little experience. Hooray, Smash Brothers. Do you think they ever make another Smash Brothers?
I don't know. Didn't Sakurai say he's done?
Please let the man rest.
I think he's done. I don't think Nintendo is done.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll make another one eventually. Hasn't he said multiple times, though, coming out of one of those that he's done?
Yes, he has. But I think he's been way more serious about it this time around.
Yeah. I think he's getting up there now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he's in his, I'm sure, like, mid to late 50s at this point.
Like, that game should come to whatever Switch 2 they're doing. It's like Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Somehow managed to find new characters to put in there.
Yeah, he's only 54. For some reason, I was thinking he was like early NES era, but he's not quite there.
To be fair, he's probably worked the number of hours a 65-year-old would have worked normally.
Fair. I saw a really sort of depressing tweet the other day about the Switch 2 very likely being the last console for kind of all the original old guard Nintendo.
Oh, sure.
Like Miyamoto,
yeah, just timing wise, yeah.
Miyamoto, Koji Kondo, like all the people that were there at the beginning of the NES, like they're all hitting retirement age. So there's a good chance a lot of those people will be stepping down at some point during this console.
I knew the day would come one day.
It'll be something when Miyamoto steps down.
Yeah, well,
I wonder if he'll always be until his last breath some kind of honorary.
I bet employee.
They will keep an office for him.
Some kind of Nintendo ambassador for life kind of thing.
Yeah, right, exactly. Apparently, there are 89 playable characters in Smash.
That's too many.
And that's not counting all of the weird side characters, the call-ins and whatever else you have there. So that's pretty wild. If they bring it over to Switch 2, they should just do what they did for Mario Kart and bring it over and then do another round of DLC and just bring it to a solid 100 for Smash Ultimate. Could use a couple more characters, some blank spots on that list.
Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for the games. This is what happens in January. Start playing Smash Brothers and a bunch of other stuff.
There are worse things to do with your time.
Whatever gets you through it.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a break here again. We're going to come right back. We're going to talk about the news, so stick around. All right, we are back, and it is time for the news. And I think we talked about this last time. We most certainly did because it was announced.
Yes.
The Xbox developer 25.
Blah, blah.
Yep, that's the one. You sound like a Hollow Knight character.
The Xbox Developer Direct _ 25 happened, and they had a secret game.
Yeah, we talked about that. I guess it was last week. We talked about the Doom, the Dark Ages stuff that I saw in advance last week, but they had also been saying, hey, there's going to be like a legendary Japanese IP being revived at this thing.
And
none of us came even close to guessing that it was Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah.
They did the, still don't love this term, but the shadow drop of Ninja Gaiden 2 Black happened here, just like announce and release.
Mm-hmm.
But also they're making Ninja Gaiden 4.
Yeah. So, Brad, I assume you watched the trailer for it. You guys watched the trailer. Looks pretty Ninja Gaiden-y.
It looks fine. It's very like cyberpunk though.
Yeah. They're saying it's
future,
a brand
Brad.
new world.
What's that?
It's the future.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, apparently it's a sequel to 3. Like a direct sequel.
Okay.
But they're also using language about like, was it set in a fresh world?
Fresh world,
where,
new protagonist.
Like, hey, yeah. That's just your standard, like, hey, don't let the 4 put you off. This is a great place to hop in if you've never played one before. is Platinum, though. It seems like Platinum is, I'm not quite clear.
I think they're co-developing with Team Ninja.
Yeah, I'm not quite clear what the split is between Team Ninja and Platinum.
I'm not quite clear what Platinum is these days.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still going. They've definitely lost some prominent developers, but...
Yeah, I know some notable people left there. It's just, I feel like the last couple of Platinum things have not really hit.
Yeah, I'm trying to, what were the most recent things they put out?
Let's see.
So when was Bayonetta 3?
Was that pre-pandemic? It's all so hard to remember.
I want to say it was like that's 2022.
Looks like Bayonetta 3 did fine, but maybe didn't set the world on. Oh, right. Babylon's Fall was not a good thing.
No, that went bad. That's the one I was trying to think of.
Yes, you're right. I guess.
So there's Bayonetta.
I did like Bayonetta 3, to be fair.
Yeah.
Bayonetta 3.
I didn't play it. I got the sense that it was kind of like looked at as fine. Like it's a fine.
Yeah, it was good.
Wildly original Bayonetta game.
I would not call it great, but it was good.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I guess Platinum's maybe been a little bit on the back foot for a bit here, but
like nobody's really talking about Sol Cresta these days, you know? Like it's not did Astral Chain do much for anyone?
I got the sense when Astral Chain came out that I think I sat in on the quick look and thought it looked fine, but it seemed like pretty mixed opinions on that one.
Yeah.
The last thing I could see here that they have a credit on is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink from 2020, end of 2020.
Yeah, that was some of their like development support work, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, they're in on this with Team Ninja.
I guess also, what is Team Ninja these days?
They're still using that logo, I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
The trailer still starts with that big stormy ocean logo that will never die.
Ninja Gaiden 2 Black also has that in a beautiful detail.
I hope so.
How excited? How excited for some new Ninja Gaiden?
So it looks like I'll give it a look. It's got a new character. You're not playing as Ryu for most of it.
Yeah.
Although they go out of their way to mention that he is still playable. Like there's like a bunch of language in the article about like new playable character. His name's Yakumo for what it's worth, but like I actually got kind of a Raiden vibe from him from Metal Gear.
100%.
Of like younger, more spry, also kind of cyber.
Yeah, more cybernetic.
And then here's your Ryu Hayabusa Solid Snake showing up halfway through because you got to have the guy.
Yeah.
In the game, but apparently you can play both of them. So I don't know. This looks like it could be cool. I hope
maybe
it's good.
Maybe this is a Kiryu situation. Maybe Ryu Hayabusa is dying, and this is his bucket list ninja mission.
I hope it's cool. It's coming to Game Pass. I believe it is Microsoft published.
Ninja Gaiden 3 was a real bummer. I'm not trying to be negative about this. I'm excited that they're doing another one. It's just that game was a real bummer.
That was a long time ago, though.
What, 10 years?
At least, wasn't it?
And like probably do, like I said when I was talking about Gaiden 2 is like yeah, let me see what a new one of these from the ground up would feel like, like from start to finish, not a remaster. Because I do still have a place in my heart for these games. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird though, because when all that language about like, legendary Japanese franchise coming back, I didn't consider Ninja Gaiden because Ninja Gaiden just got a new game announced at the Game Awards, Ragebound. Remember that 2D?
Yeah. 2D
Ninja Gaiden. So it's like, that one didn't even enter my mind because that one is still kind of actively happening elsewhere already.
So like maybe they're just doing a big Gaiden push.
To hear Microsoft tell it, I mean, this article on Xbox Wire starts at the year of the ninja commences.
All right. Okay.
So
do we have to do another Ninja Month watchcast?
I don't know if that's going to get as much traction as the year of Luigi, but
maybe that Sega will do that Shinobi stuff. We'll get
but then 4 is coming out this year, so
okay,
that's cool. Microsoft's got a lot of games coming out this year all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Granted,
they own a lot of people who make games now, so
yes, eventually there was going to be a year where Microsoft had a lot of games coming out with all these studios. And granted, Avowed was supposed to be out in November and got pushed, but that's coming out in February. Doom's coming out in May. This is coming out at some point. Fable's supposed to be out this year.
South of Midnight.
There might be one or two others I'm forgetting.
The Claire Obscure.
That's not edition. Them. That's who is publishing that?
Kepler.
I believe that's right. I had a list in front of me of first-party Xbox games, and I think I closed it.
It's okay.
But that was it. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 was the other thing at that developer.
Oh, yeah,
direct,
that
right?
was at the developer direct, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, South of Midnight still looks pretty cool. Yeah, I was just tagging on to other stuff at the direct. That game still looks neat. Still interested in that as well.
Oh, Outer Worlds 2 also.
Okay.
Towerborn also this year.
Oh, is that this year?
Well, that's what currently those have 2025 attached to them.
Okay.
Those don't have dates yet, so they could slip, but I don't know, it looks like a fair amount of games coming from them.
Probably some more Minecraft stuff. You never know.
Still no State of Decay 3 release date.
Not yet. So
get the fuck out of my face now.
Wow.
Damn.
There's only one game that matters, okay?
Hey, look, you're not wrong. I'm kind of excited for that too. After our awesome State of Decay 2 run, there's nothing left.
That's right. There's a lot of games that matter, okay.
This next story here, pretty sad.
Yeah.
But sounds like it's things will be okay, just maybe not extremely okay.
Things are not extremely okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Extremely okay games. The developers of Celeste have canceled Earthblade, their next game.
They're pretty forthcoming, at least according to the story on Video Games Chronicle, with quotes from the developers. Shit got weird inside.
Yeah, I mean, I looked at their blog post. I mean, yeah, there was some kind of IP dispute over Celeste. That split up part of their team. And then it sounds like even after that got settled, they're friendly with everybody's friendly from the sound of things,
but not working together anymore.
But they did split part of the team off, or one founding member of the team left. But then even the remaining developers, it sounded like we're just kind of not feeling it, I guess is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm. The circumstances no longer felt right.
I think it was it Matty Thorson that gave these quotes? Yes. I do believe if we soldier on despite it all, that Earthblade could still be a great game. But they said the game was not actually that far along, and they were just the whole thing was feeling like a slog, and they have decided to retire that and start prototyping other stuff. So,
well, I hope truly everything was ironed out.
Yeah.
They can move forward.
Celeste is up there. I feel like in almost Hollow Knight territory of people effing love Celeste, and so
it's a tight game.
Actually, sorry, they mentioned that in the blog post that the pressure of following up Celeste was a big part of why they were having a hard time with this game.
Wow.
I mean,
hate to hear that, but I understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Absolutely.
The sophomore album is always a challenge.
They'll make something else from the sound of things. Just it'll be a while.
I wonder if Lena was going to do the soundtrack on the new stuff.
I don't know.
All right, that is Earthblade is, as of right now, with probably not a high percentage of coming back, canceled. Sounds like a lot of work was in on it though. This is what I have in my notes for this, Brad. Feel free to editorialize your own surprise about physical releases.
Yeah, I just threw this in there as a follow-up because we talked about it last week. Matt Piscatella making another frequent appearance in this news section. He was the one that was talking about the effect of tariffs on physical game releases last week.
Yes, where production in, was it Mexico, could have impacts.
I guess maybe in the wake of having said that, he decided to get out there and just put out some actual data to contextualize all this stuff. And he full-on posted a chart of U.S. spending on physical games for the last, when does this start? 2000. So basically the last 24 years, 25 years. Basically the two big takeaways from looking at this are that number one, spending on physical games has fallen by half just in the last 3 years.
Yes.
From where it was in 2021, which is a pretty rapid decline, but also looking at the chart, physical games peaked in 2008. So the amount spent on physical copies of games has been dropping every single year since 2008.
Ever since the Summer of Arcade.
So yep, that's right. Summer of Arcade.
That was the Herald.
That's right.
The beginning of the end.
Bastion was just that good.
when did the Switch 1 come out?
Switch 1, 2017.
Okay, so there is a plateau there in the graph of because he goes on to give a little hope for the Switch 2 to maybe slow also.
Yeah, I don't know though.
I don't know.
This is all pretty grim. Like
for physical games.
Like 2024 it was well under $2 billion spent on physical. I don't have what the total like industry number is, but I'm going to say it's pretty high.
Yeah.
I feel like the odds of the next consoles having built-in optical drives are basically zero at this point.
I agree. And even as much as I am extremely a proponent of physical media wherever you can, the economics just aren't there anymore and have not been for a long time. Like, I think, the Nintendo audience, there's still a decent number of people that seem like they want to buy those carts, and that is the only way they will buy the Nintendo games. But honest to God, I have not bought a single physical PS5 or Xbox Series X game. Like, I just haven't done it. And I have to imagine that at this point, people just have it baked into their minds that that's the ecosystem. You just download everything.
Yeah, that seems to be the case. Kind of a bummer. I mean, I'm hoping. Hopefully, they were going to both pursue the add-on strategy next gen.
Like, yeah, the physical games are not for me, but I appreciate that there is some percentage that still get made.
I still think the option should be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like occasionally, like there are arguments for it, even if you mostly buy digital, because like sometimes physical games go on way deeper sales and way faster than the digital equivalents.
Or in extreme cases, become the only available way to hold on to that, or to retain it. If you had to, this is a silly question, so I expect a silly answer. But if you guys had to spitball a number of physical releases to a percentage of games that get physical releases that are PC only, would it be in the sub 1%?
Maybe
it would be low.
Possibly,
it would be very low.
I mean, as a percentage, just looking at the total number of games coming out on Steam, that seems very, very likely because there are untold numbers of games coming out on Steam now.
It's like you couldn't print a game fast enough to keep up. But yeah, I would probably say sub 1%. If anybody can do the math on that, it would have to be can you buy a PC game, or does it just come with a code?
I was going to say, most of them probably are just any physical releases are just coming with codes at this point. Yeah, I really don't know.
Like, you don't get a CD-ROM, man. They're not distributing those anymore.
Or DVD or whatever it would be. I assume, you just open that box and it's a code. Like, I assume Sony's not doing physical releases for their ports over to like Steam and stuff, right?
I don't think so. I would assume not.
I don't think I've seen a box that's a PC clamshell in a long time. Probably some weird stuff is still out there, like whatever the market the big rigs is in now. Like that market probably still sells discs you could put into a computer, but are computers still going to have CD or DVD drives in them?
No, they stopped that a long time. Like you're a fucking weirdo like me if you still have an optical drive in your PC at this point.
We Brad, we are the weirdos.
Wait, you have one in your PC,
or you have one you PC, can but I have an attached one. Nope. I have an attached drive.
Full 5.25-inch drive bay filled with a Blu-ray BD-ROM.
That's beautiful.
Beautiful. And it's a SATA connection?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I respect the hell out of that.
I've also just got a USB one. I can
on my cold dead hands.
Wow.
I have thought about pulling that drive out and putting it in an enclosure. The only thing that would get me to do that is if I went to like liquid cooling and needed the space for the radiator or something. Until I need the space, that thing will remain in my PC.
If and knock on wood, it doesn't happen. I don't need to like jinx you again here, like with Geometry Wars. But if that thing were to break, would you replace it?
Oh yeah,
you would with another internal.
Well, I have a smaller, a little slim, another slim Blu-ray USB drive in the drawer here.
Okay,
as a backup. But I'd probably they're like $50.
Do you have a 3 and was it 3 1/4? What's the A drive? Do you have an A drive?
Oh yeah, I've got two of them in the drawer right here. I mean, they're both
but not
USB.
On your PC.
No, they're both USB. No, you can't even get a case with a 3.5-inch bay anymore that I've seen.
Okay, how about 5 1/4?
Yeah, even those are getting harder to find, but yes.
Okay.
You're talking about the drive bay in the case?
Anything that could take a floppy.
Whoa. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I was looking around recently at 5.25 inch USB floppy drives. They don't seem to exist.
Okay. I mean, that's like a big old spinning head in the thing, you know?
Yeah, you can still get 3.5 inch floppy drives, but.
Okay. That's fun. Good to know. Yeah. Oh, but I mean, also physical, not too surprising here with the,
I feel like the overall trend line is not super surprising, but like, I mean, for one thing, he works at Circana and like, they just don't put out public data all the time for everything. They put out some stuff, but I don't think they release stuff like this that often, which is why I even put this in here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would have guessed the peak of physical sales would have been later than 2008.
I mean, I think Alex is right. There are some pretty serious pushes into digital. At 2008 was probably around the time. Also, they lifted the cap on the Xbox Live stuff.
Sounds or at least started relaxing it. Yeah, I think,
yeah.
Symphony of the Night style.
Yeah, there were caps through the end of that console, but they got bigger over time. Summer of Arcade, man.
Summer of Arcade. Look, digital's pretty convenient for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I will be the part of the problem when the game industry takes your digital collection and flushes it down the toilet. But
we're putting a lot of faith in existing structures to maintain themselves, which feels more foolhardy over time.
It really does. Yes. I'm gonna go start. I don't know. Somehow burning all my stuff to DVD. I got to figure out how to get all my ISOs collected for all my games.
Yeah,
terabytes and terabytes.
Like the onus should not be on them to figure this out, but the community, like the internet, gives me hope at least that they, everything more or less will get preserved.
We'll get to that in another story.
Just looking at what goes on with basically every console out there, in terms of people preserving and archiving and hacking things to get them to keep working and so forth.
I don't want to get too doom and gloom, but like I also don't have faith in the laws that allow people to continue to do that stuff, All right. This one was kind of weird. Brad, Sony says, hey, maybe we're not going to enforce our login on all our PC games, but if you do, you want to get in there.
We got something for you.
Y'all like skins?
No.
How about in-game currency?
Depends on what the currency's for. If it's for skins, I'm out.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see Sony like figuring out what they can get away with on the PC over time.
Yeah, this is not new though. So what is going on?
Well, this policy change is, everybody remembers the flap over Helldivers last year. You could argue.
When I say not new, I mean for publishers to give you a little bonus for signing up.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, you think they might have figured this out from day one, but anyway, everybody remembers the flap over the Helldivers PSN account requirement thing.
Definitely. Yes.
They basically, it seems like they're reversing course on that top to bottom because existing games, this is a PlayStation blog post that they have a list of existing games that are going to have the account requirement disabled, or an account for PlayStation Network will become optional for these titles, is how this is phrased. Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered. Instead, if you do make an account and sign into it, you will get stuff.
Stuff.
Like access to the Armor of the Black Bear set at the first Lost Items chat in the Realm Between Realms.
Hell yeah.
Previously only accessible in a New Game Plus run.
Wow.
Or Last of Us will give you some points to unlock bonus features and get a unique, or maybe not a unique, but an early outfit in Horizon Zero, stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's this typical stuff Activision would do and EA would do. If you
the reward stuff is nothing new. It's really just that they are relaxing that heavy-handed account policy that they had previously.
So, okay, these are older games. Not all of them, obviously they're coming to the PC. Like Spider-Man 2 is new to the PC, but do I get any of this stuff on my PlayStation version of
I
this?
doubt it.
Fuck you.
What I want?
Wait,
I want it.
What,
that's
early
what
access.
PlayStation
What, you
says.
mean reward our most loyal customers? We already have your loyalty.
You bought
Why?
the console. Fuck off.
I mean,
We don't need you.
I want an early unlock for the Spider-Man 2099 black suit. Give me it.
If they have cross save, you can go buy a second copy on the PC and get it there, and then bring it back over.
Stop it. Yeah, I mean, good for them. Like I said, this is nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
somebody printing out something on a dot matrix printer.
My printer is going behind me right now.
Okay.
I think my partner decided to print something out while I was down here.
I can't. Is your partner going to tear the page off?
It's just a regular printer, man. It's just a fucking laser jet.
Okay.
What is it? What?
It's just work stuff. I can't. It's secrets.
It had a real dot matrix sound, okay, and I got really excited.
Network printers still feel like the future to me.
They damn well should.
Like anybody who dealt with shitty printer stuff over a parallel port 25 years ago, I feel Brad, can appreciate the fact that printers just work over the air now.
You know what'll blow your mind?
What's that?
Network scanners.
Yep.
They work.
Get a little scanner.
Mm-hmm. This is also a scanner.
Oh my gosh.
It does both.
What an office you live in.
Poorly.
All right. That's Sony getting with the times and adding incentives for you to sign up to get emails about Sony's rewards or whatever else you do when you sign up on the PC with your Sony address. I assume so they can market to you.
Well, yeah.
This last one is my favorite story, maybe of the month, possibly of the last year.
Very excited about this.
Brad, take it away. This is a great story.
Spoken to people involved in this effort in the last few weeks, and it sounds so awesome, just like the work they're doing and how they're executing it and what it's going to result in. The Video Game History Foundation is opening its digital archives, its digital library this week, January 30th, the day this podcast posts publicly. Which I'm very excited about.
I was almost going to say when I saw this in the news, because I hadn't seen it until you had posted it, you should do a late entry on our patrons poll that's just you going through the archive.
Man, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I tried to come up with something better than, hey, I'll play that new Ninja Gaiden remaster, and could not come up with anything. What
if you could read about the original Ninja Gaiden?
There you go.
I knew that would not compete with the choices you guys came up with, but I finally threw up my hands and just posted the poll.
So the thing that makes this... The thing that makes this kind of stand out is that, like, it's not just that it is like a collection of all their publications and all the stuff, scanning work they've done, but it's very searchable from what it seems like. That is 100% it. Yeah. That's 100% it. And so it's a ton of old magazines, but old magazines have been scanned on the internet forever. Mm-hmm. But they also collect old press materials, press releases and marketing stuff that was not seen in public, that was meant for the press and that sort of thing. I believe there's a fair amount of development stuff in there as well, development materials for different things. Mm-hmm. But yes, their OCR, they're like, they're scanning and turning a page into text, like turning, a magazine page into actual text or a press release or whatever, is apparently very good. Like they've been able to lift text off of things that kind of traditional scanning methods would not be able to get very well. And B, yes, like you said, it is all like indexed and searchable. So
amazing.
So being able to just search for stuff and dig through 40, who knows how many years, 40 plus years, 45, 50 years of, hard copy video game material and like research stuff through this, like that. I see myself spending a lot of time sitting here searching through and looking for old stuff.
This is probably just me playing root trees of my brain right now, but now I'm thinking about someone designing a social deduction game around searching this particular database.
Yes.
Oh, sure. Find this developer.
Yeah.
I mean, here is maybe this is in the Polygon story. I looked to see if VGHF had their own like press release or blog post about this. I didn't see one, but because uploading and cataloging everything into the digital archive is an ongoing process, you'll have the ability to sort through a collection of unprocessed material as well. Which that might actually be the most exciting part of this to me is like, you know what? I got a free Saturday morning with nothing going on. I might just sit here and go through stuff they haven't indexed yet and like help contribute. But
I'm also tags.
I'm also somebody who fixes typos and stuff on Wikipedia here and there. So,
Hey, respect for that.
Yeah. That's cool. Yep. They're saying they got over 1,500 issues of out-of-print magazines. Like you said, Brad, a bunch of promotional materials, other stuff. Do you know if, from maybe talking to people, maybe this isn't a publicized thing, do you know if they're, A, how big this archive might be in size, and B, if they are just offering a way to download or also host your own?
I have zero inside knowledge. I would guess they're not going to just release the data set publicly, but I don't know.
They're not just putting this whole thing up on Internet Archive in 47 chunks, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
I mean, it may be scrapable. I don't know if people will look to archive it if they don't do it themselves, but
they definitely will. They absolutely. If you could scrape it, it'll be scraped. Even if you can't scrape it, they will scrape it. Third question here: Would you download and store if they made it accessible?
I don't know. I bet this is a lot, especially with all the high res magazine scans. I bet it's huge.
Huge.
You wouldn't download a database, would you?
A publicly available database of all these magazine covers. I might do it by magazine if I could. If you told me like, hey, you can get every issue of high res scans of Nintendo Power of a certain age.
I might also go for that.
Right. I might do that.
Oh gosh, I completely lost my train of thought. What was I going to say about this? Oh, the thing I was going to say is just that like this is such a passion project that I have to assume that they themselves have taken triple redundant measures to make sure none of this stuff ever gets lost again.
Oh,
like what I mean is like they don't necessarily have to rely on the community to back it up. I'm sure all this data is very well safeguarded.
Yeah, I really hope people don't like. I also assume they have lawyers who have volunteered their time for this to say like, you put this stuff up, you're not going to be hounded by some publisher who is like by a Nintendo, right? Who might be like, hey, we own that. You're publishing it. I don't know what out of print stuff rules are. Clearly, I'm no lawyer, so I don't know if that's a special exemption. No idea.
I think magazines are just kind of whatever. I don't think any of the publishers, assuming they even still exist, like care about old stuff like that necessarily. Old games, though, like we've talked about this before. Like they lost that copyright appeal last year, so they are not able to make playable games available through this library.
Yeah, because they were going to try and make them even streamable, right? Or have it was even more than just them, right? Like have a library be able to host old games that you can stream remotely to check out for academic purposes, even.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm very excited to get my hands on this.
The people need to know. Need to know. Fun question, kind of along the lines of how many physical releases of computer games dumbness, but do you guys feel like your bylines will be searchable in these print magazines and have hits? Maybe. I don't know what your printed magazine byline footprint is.
Think I have one.
I had a weird entry into the games media. I came relatively close to working on a magazine instead of working at GameSpot.
Okay. But
the online side won out.
Reichert will definitely be there.
Yeah, for sure. I have some stuff that's been in print, but it was mostly reprints of stuff I had written online.
Oh, well, like in a collection?
Yeah. I don't know if you remembered after my parents' basement flooded, I had that hard copy of a GameSpot video game yearbook that we had put out.
Mm-hmm.
Did we talk about that? That I had my big history of Metal Gear feature was
yes. Okay.
A cover story in there. I tracked down the one other copy of that I could find on eBay and bought that.
Nice.
So I have a clean copy of that now because I have, and that feature is long fucking gone from the website.
And was it a nice copy of the magazine?
Yeah, it was very nice shape. That
awesome.
One. But that one is nice. Like I said, it's hard to find even a workable version of that feature on the Wayback Machine at this point, or that a lot of that stuff is just gone out there. So,
I'll search. I'm going to give you guys a search. I'm sure Gerstmann has a bunch of stuff on there. Reichert definitely would have a bunch of stuff on there.
I think I don't.
You think you did? Not?
I don't think I ever had anything published in a magazine before.
I'm trying to think who else would be fun to go search up. That is old enough to have their name printed in a magazine.
Giancarlo.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Do you think Greg got printed in a bunch of magazines? Not for being super giant, but for because he was at GameSpot so long.
I don't remember where he was before that.
GameSpot was always online though. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't know if he actually Yeah, maybe Jeff Gerstmann also. I feel like he did a couple of other things that.
Yeah, he worked on like Blaster magazine and stuff like that prior to GameSpot. But like even when I interned at GameSpot in 2000, like it was all fully online, and that was back when there was still the split between video games and or consoles and PC, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Like videogames.com was the console site and GameSpot was the PC site, and they had like different Game of the Year lists and everything.
I wonder what this goes up to if they have a hard out on, I wonder, if there's a legal hard out you have to have, be like nothing past 2005, or if they're, have stuff that's just like, this is where we felt comfortable going up until.
I bet it's pretty comprehensive.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see. Well, I'll have to wait a couple more days.
And I'm excited to sift through like old press kits from E3 and stuff like that as well.
That's cool.
There's like those things, and again, speaking from experience, like finding stuff in the basement recently, there's like those things are treasure troves of information about a lot of like games and companies that no longer exist,
Yeah.
And including games that just like straight up did not come out.
Right. And companies that have been defunct for 20 years and stuff. So there's just so much to see there. Last thing I'll say, Frank Cifaldi and Phil Salvador, who are both involved with VGHF in this capacity heavily, are fun to follow on Blue Sky because they post about stuff like this kind of all the time. About like I'm pretty sure Cifaldi posted a video of their high-speed scanner at one point.
Oh, wow.
Like they invested in a very nice new high-speed scanner that like I would love to know what their process for dismembering a magazine is. Like I assume a razor blade or something, but I mean maybe they have like
staple remover.
They might have. Yeah, I mean it would depend on if it's stapled or bound. But I assume they have like good formal processes for like slicing the paper cleanly, to get exactly the right cut on the spine. But then like that video, this thing was just like you basically feed an entire magazine broken down into a stack of pages in, and it just like flies through it, like the pages just go and go. So they have put a lot of work into this thing, and I'm very excited to see it.
Probably worth mentioning. It's mentioned in the Polygon story you linked, Brad, but they do accept donations, and you can go check them out at the Video Game History Foundation if you'd like to go donate and support the good work going on there.
Yeah, they also have a Patreon if they do like a podcast and stuff, and a Discord as well. If you want to support them that way.
Can't wait to check this out over the weekend and take a little look.
Yeah,
maybe I'll send my kid out there to go read through the old Nintendo powers.
Learn of the old ways.
Go check it out. The old ways. Go see what we had to go look at.
Mm-hmm.
The old hype train. The old state-run media.
You could only feel hype once a month, man. It was fucked up.
All right, that's going to do it for the news. Got an email or two?
Yeah, sure. What's the email address?
Oh, let me have it scanned in. Let me go pull it up on the, it's podcast@nextlander.com, podcast@nextlander.com.
Right.
Podcast@nextlander.com.
Let's see. Should I read this email or should I click the summarize this email Gemini button on it?
Ew.
If you do that, I'm leaving.
I'm just going to read. This is a bit of an older one. I hope I didn't read this in the past and forget to mark it off.
Okay.
But now it's actually sadly kind of more relevant than it was then. In the somewhat unfairly maligned Link, the Faces of Evil for the CDI. I mean, is it unfairly maligned? Anyway. When Link receives the Power Glove, an animation plays where what looks like a green rubber glove manifests. Link proceeds to put it on his right hand. This glove has the power to destroy boulders, barriers, and even tougher enemies in one blow. What I'm asking is, do you think it's possible that David Lynch has ever played Link, the Faces of Evil?
Oh, the rubber glove. Yes. Yes. Maybe it's weird enough where somebody showed it to him. Yes.
I don't know. Alex, your thoughts?
I don't know that I have any.
What year was the CDI game?
That's like early 90s.
Okay, so we're definitely predating all of the. Yeah, I'm going to say yes, and it's a direct representation of that in the. I'm
going to say that's a stretch for me. I'm going to say a stretch.
Direct representation, or maybe they both took their inspiration from the same thing.
Possible. Yeah. Faces of Evil was 93.
Okay.
I don't.
Getting pretty close.
Did Lynch ever talk about video games at all? I don't know.
I mean, again,
he did that fucking PlayStation commercial.
Yes,
forgot about that.
And he was friends with Trent Reznor when he was wearing Quake t-shirts. So
I mean, that was in the, if I'm not mistaken, that was in the studio while Reznor was doing the Quake soundtrack.
I think so, yeah. So I'm sure he was aware of video games, like what his knowledge of them was. I couldn't tell you, and probably I'd say his overall interest level was fairly low, but I don't imagine he would have like hated them or not wanted, had any influence from them. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think the glove is from that. I think that's maybe a stretch for me.
Wow. All right.
That's just me.
Yeah. Brad, you got another one?
Jesse in St. Charles, Illinois. Which Stephen King book or story would make the best video game? What type of game would it be?
Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, okay.
What kind of game would that be?
Burnout.
Wait, you'd be in the car? You can't go in a car.
You control the cars.
That was my first answer as well. Something car related.
Think of it like the Hulk Ultimate Destruction game, but it's Maximum Overdrive and you're driving the car, like the fucking Green Goblin truck and whatever, and you were just going around and you were terrorizing, destroying things.
Did he ever
are the truck?
Did he ever write anything called Maximum Overdrive, or that's just based on the short story Trucks, right?
Yeah.
I believe.
Fine. Okay, Trucks. If it has to be based on the original material, then sure. But
yeah, Trucks is the story, the original story, which is all about driverless cars running down people.
Yeah.
Vehicles becoming sentient and ruling the world.
That's the one.
I think if you did it on Trucks, you could do like basically being stuck at the Burger King or whatever they are and like having to figure out how to get out there. God, that story, I just remembered how that thing wraps up, and it's I don't want to spoil it, but it's pretty dumb, right?
I mean, look, spoiler for a 40-year-old short story.
It's refilling the trucks with gas at the end, isn't
it?
The
trucks like enslave the humans basically at this gas station. Like the whole story takes place in this one gas station, but
yeah,
the end of the story flashes forward a few hours from the main action, and like the trucks are lined up down the highway further than you can see, and the trucks are just forcing the humans to
refill them,
basically fill them up until they drop from the fumes, and then. Like basically the last line of the story is the guy like looking overhead and seeing a plane flying overhead and saying something like, "I wish I could believe there are people in that plane," or something. Stephen King went some places.
Yep.
There's the little toy soldier one.
Oh yeah,
the war against that could be a fun one.
My wheelhouse is all short stories for the most part, so I can't think of a lot of novels that would be great here. Like I'm trying to think like what is a Pet Sematary video game?
Okay, The Shining video game. But it takes place in real time. You have to spend the literal months of time of winter in the Overlook Hotel. And most of the game is just you doing the fucking chores.
You could probably get a pretty decent old school Resident Evil style game out of The Shining if you really put your mind to it.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a lot of combat, but like that format.
Maybe
you have to play it for a month before a ghost shows up.
What was the one I really liked with the Paragon, the casting incantations, and it had all the I think it was GameCube. It had all the sanity effects.
Eternal Darkness.
Yeah, Eternal Darkness. Maybe something like that.
Yeah,
with
sure.
Where you're like, oh, you're seeing weird stuff.
Yeah, but most of the time you're just checking the boiler.
Open world service game. For the Dark Tower series. Everybody's a Roland. Everybody is running around in that
Dark
world.
Tower MMO.
Dark Tower MMO, service game. Everybody's a gunslinger. Run around. The gunslingers, they're all a lot. It's a prequel, and they're all running around, and they all have superpowers, and you spend a lot of time doing
The Running Man is also the real answer to this, right? Also, like, it's just the Running Man.
Sure.
That's just a game. Yeah,
it's just the Running Man is the thing that is the most like video game ready.
Isn't that Total Carnage or Maximum Carnage, whatever that?
Yeah, kind of. Sure.
I'm
big
not saying
money, big prizes.
Yes, Smash TV. Yes, I'm not
Smash
saying
TV.
it is not inherently that there aren't other games that are already the Running Man. I'm just saying you could also just do the Running Man.
Man,
okay.
It must have been wild to make video games in the late 80s and early 90s because you could just take your favorite movie and kind of change all the names.
And in some cases, just trace over the poster for the cover art.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think we nailed it.
Yep.
We did.
Yeah, everything buttoned it up right there. There are no better games that can be made from Stephen King works. What's your video game of Carrie? do you make a video game of Carrie?
I think spiritually that's a cursed idea.
You should just put it away.
Yeah, let that one go.
That one, Cujo.
Put it away. Cujo. I've been sitting here trying to think about Cujo.
The animal chaos genre is very big these days. Fair. You could do a Cujo that way.
Sure.
Christine is kind of like Trucks again. So like,
right. Christine was the other. Yes.
Yeah, but that's about making a dumb boy fall in love with you more than it is like going around and wreaking havoc. I think that's why Trucks is more video game ready made.
Plenty of material out there. You think he'd be too good for it? I'm going to say no.
Not these days.
I mean, he likes movies. He's got movies made of all this stuff.
He likes getting checks.
He probably likes getting paid. When were we talking about his son? Was it? It was on the last stream we did with Abby.
Mm-hmm.
She really likes. He's got the two sons. That right?
Joe Hill is the one that I think gets more recognition these days.
I want to say that's the one she likes better.
Yeah,
he was smart enough to not use his real name.
Avoid those comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
All right, is that it for the emails?
Yeah.
All right, let's get near the wrapping this one up, folks. We've got Never Been a Better podcast up from last week for January that had Austin Walker and Dan Reichert. We have finished out our watchcast of Jude Law Sci-Fi January. That ended with AI: artificial intelligence. That is currently up. We are sliding into our con.
The con is on. Is the con is on. I am phrasing this.
The con is on February. FebCon is on with a nice smooth transition from Jude Law January into the talented Mr. Ripley, which also has Jude Law. A nice smooth transition from Gattaca into possibly some other thematically similar things going on with our movies. Alex, the list for the con is up on the Patreon. If you want to check it out.
Yet. It will be by the end of this week, however.
Got it. Some great movies in that one.
Yeah.
Some fun ones too. Maybe some challenges to the throne on the
I think your top 10 is going to look very different by the time we are done with this month.
Maybe we'll have to see. That's the Watchcast. You can check that out again. Patreon.com/Nextlander. Like I said, we got the Never Been a Better podcast. We've got the Ramblecast. We got the video Ramblecast. We'll have a Planorama next week looking at the February release calendar. Bunch of stuff on there. We're going to have a Patron's Choice on Friday. So you can go vote if you're listening to this. Poll is probably still open by the time this goes up. And then we got the Patreon Q&A this week as well. So plenty of goodies over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Find a tier that is right for you. You just cannot be disappointed. That's it. There's everything on there. Mwah!
I don't think we can guarantee that.
Cannot.
Legally.
I did not say guaranteed.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah. No, you will not. If you are disappointed, deal with it.
Not legally binding.
I don't know
Not legally binding.
Plenty of great stuff there. And like I say, when we mention this, all the old stuff still there for you. Still waiting. It's still there. There is one tier on the Patreon that gets their names read on this year's show, and I'm going to read those for you right now. It is the mysterious Benefactor tier. And starting off or kicking things off this week, Sean Miller, RRE, Alpha Rhythm, Infelicitous Rips, David L, Kelly F, Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, NXL Retirement Fund, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre Roottree, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Buddy Thing, Jad Rita, Statics, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos. Sorry about last week. Oh, that was from the long one you had to read last week. It's okay.
Apology accepted.
Tyler Treese. Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. Thanks to them, and thanks to everyone who has supported us over at patreon.com/Nextlander. Who knows? 2025, maybe going to nextlander.com at some point in 2025 will not just redirect you to the Patreon. Who can say? The internet, networking, maybe is just not even around anymore. I don't know.
We own that domain. We can point it to anything we want.
It's true.
We can point it anywhere. And a great place to point it to is patreon.com/Nextlander because it is where we get the majority of our support because all those other services are trash.
Yep.
I'm just going to let that
nailed
one go.
It. Absolutely nailed it. 100%. No argument.
Vinny Caravello's opinions are his own and do not necessarily represent those of Nextlander.com.
They do represent mine, though. I just want to be clear.
They're fantastic partners in our endeavor. That feels like a really bad partnership for us, really.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, everybody, for supporting us. That is the true statement. One of these statements is false. One of these statements is true, or maybe both of them are true. You have to
no way of knowing which.
Thanks, everybody, for supporting us. Thanks for sticking around. We got a bunch more stuff going on, like I just mentioned. Patron's Choice happening on Friday. Could be that X-Files game. Is that I didn't look recently.
That was last I checked. Let's just do a refresh here.
Okay, I had to go check and make sure I can get that thing up and running.
Oh yes, X-Files is still handily in the lead.
Okay, well, might be that FMV X-Files game. We'll see how that thing is. I'm curious.
If anybody knows, maybe hit us up on the Discord. Like with those 90s FMV games, there's always a question of which one is the best version.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of the PC versions, like the FMV was poor.
Yeah, bad compression.
So I'm assuming the PlayStation release is the best version of that one, but I don't actually know.
Hey, look, that I have to go take a look and get prepped for that. So maybe it's busting out the old Mister. I haven't hooked that thing up.
Oh man, I totally forgot. Sorry, I totally forgot to put it in the news. I considered doing that. There's a 3DO core coming for the Mister finally.
Actual Mister or the new Mister thing?
No, it's all software wise. It's all the same. All the new clones are just compatible with the existing stuff. But somebody. In fact, the developer of the Saturn core is working on a 3DO core now, which I always need to offer a disclaimer. The 3DO is not a good console, but it is a very interesting one. And there's a lot of FMV. There's a lot of games with good quality FMV locked up behind that thing. Like when we did Daedalus Encounter a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
there was the version of that game for the 3DO has like way bigger, better video than the PC.
Oh yeah,
one.
I remember that. Yes.
So it's a lot of stuff like that. Hopefully it'll be easier to play more FMV games with this.
Near and dear to my heart. I have two things to mention to you before we get out of here. Both of them could absolutely be mentioned off the air, but while I have you here. One, did you see the link somebody did in our Discord about the VHS capture?
Yes. The
new thing that they're making?
Doomsday Duplicator?
Is that there was a newer one. The Doomsday Duplicator was the super expensive one, right? But
yes.
I think there was a newer one that's supposed to be coming out. You had mentioned this before about tapping in before the encoder or whatever.
Yes, the RF signal.
But there was a mention in that Doomsday Duplicator video about a new one that is in the works.
I did not see that.
That is not maybe that is not as expensive.
Yeah, I think a full Doomsday setup is like $400 or something.
Maybe a little too pricey,
which is a lot. I'd seen people experimenting with some way cheaper capture cards that. Basically like no-name capture cards on AliExpress.
Okay.
For like $30, which they were saying like, they seem like these might be like 90% as good. But I had not followed up on. I need to pull that up.
The end result being very specialized thing, but really much better and clearer VHS captures from old tapes, which is very cool. The other thing I'm going to ask you, and feel free to say something like, Vinny, this would take more time than we have here. But my son asked me, and I thought of you immediately, said, so what's the story with 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit, and like 128-bit games? And I said that those numbers don't make any sense after a while.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Kind of. Well, I mean, they mean specific things, but I think the thing that is super fuzzy is what actually qualifies as a 16-bit system. Because
what are they talking about? Because I thought it was the amount of information displayable on screen. Is that right?
No. It's okay. Really pertains to like how like, and I'm getting way out of my depth here. I'm not an electrical engineer, but like the registers, the size of the registers in the CPU,
So it is compute based?
Yeah, it is all compute stuff. Early computing, it was how much memory you could address at one time.
Okay.
Like a 32-bit CPU, for example, can address vastly more memory than a 16-bit one, for example.
So when they said 8-bit graphics, that's still compute?
I mean, a lot of that stuff was just kind of marketing at that point. If they said like 16-bit, like there was like stuff like the TurboGrafx, I think, has 2 8-bit CPUs in it, and they tried to position that as a 16-bit system, or like the 64-bit aspects of the N64 were almost never used in actual games, for example.
So we got a couple of different things going on here, right? It's
yes.
Because you guys remember like when you would set remember 32-bit true color out on your monitor?
Oh, yeah,
16-bit graphics?
Yeah, that's yes. For graphics, it's like the bit depth is, I think, how many possible values a pixel can be.
So that's what I was thinking. I told him, look, I don't have a good answer for you.
Yeah.
I have to go find out. But is it just a muddy mess of stuff, or is there a line of that I could tell him, be like, hey, I asked, and it is like 8-bit was this, 16-bit was this, 32-bit was this. Because I remember 64 being like, they shouldn't call this, like a Nintendo 64 is not a 64-bit console. Is that true?
There are, I mean, I barely understand this, and I've just looked into it last year or two. There are actual 64-bit aspects to the N64 hardware, but like I said, those almost never got used in actual development.
Okay.
Look, if it's 16-bit, you can call it Super. If it's 8-bit, you can't call it Super. That's all you need to know.
Like that really is, I think, the lesson of the 90s is that it really just became a marketing point at some point. That people were just finding
number higher, double previous number,
stretching every reason they could to make the number sound bigger on their new thing.
Okay,
it's like you see, there's like memory buses on current graphics cards that are like 384 bits or 512 bits or whatever.
All right. It sounds like maybe it's a mix between something actual and marketing getting in the way and muddying stuff up.
Yes.
If somebody has a good video explainer or something that I can watch with my son, I'd appreciate a link or something. I'm sure somebody has went into this in detail. In my memory, it always seemed like I remember people like grousing about 64, like Mario 64. Like, what does that even mean? And like, oh, it's because it's 64-bit, and then other people be like, it really is not like what we're doing here.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching a video about DOS. I was watching a video about DOS memory management over the weekend, as one does.
As one does, yes.
And now I finally, 30 years later, know the difference between extended memory and expanded memory. But like,
wow,
I mean, that's like an easy early example though of like going from 8 to 16-bit CPUs or whatever.
Okay.
Like that's why DOS originally could only address like 1 megabyte of memory or whatever.
Oh,
and then
sad.
as better CPUs started coming out, you could access more, but the OS was not architected to understand that. So they had to use all these weird intermediaries to say like, hey, there's actually way more memory over here.
Oh,
if you peek through this one address in conventional memory, then you can see all these other addresses that we're pointing to.
People are smart. Engineers are smart.
And expand. Wait, see, I've already forgotten which is which.
Uh-oh. What was an EMM?
So EMM 386 was one of those memory managers. I can't remember which one that was. I believe expanded memory was when they still used to sell memory cards. Like you could buy an add-on board for your PC that had more memory on it.
Hot dang.
And that's how you exposed the memory that way to DOS.
I saw a video of a person with a rack computer who had removable trays of RAM and putting those trays in to get over 600 gigs of RAM in their thing that they were trying to run on a rack server. I think they were trying to run that new AI DeepSeek or whatever on their locally at the full depth or whatever. But I had just never seen somebody literally trays of RAM just like chunking them into a thing in a kind of pornographic way that I was like, I wonder how much that costs. Like, I wonder, could I have one of those in my home just so I could slot in a tray of RAM into a thing? It was kind of cool.
I bet that's a satisfying feeling.
Oh my gosh, to be like, that's very cool.
Just slide that thing in there.
Yeah. It was like 4 or 5 full trays. I was like, man, that's for like a hypervisor or something. You're gonna have a lot of RAM there. All right, thank you, Brad, for indulging me.
That was my extremely ramshackle and poorly understood explanation.
Look, I will hope somebody will point me in the right direction, and I can sit and watch and learn together with the family.
Yeah, I mean, I think the short version is it can mean a lot of different things.
Okay,
but it generally is stuff that's like very internal to the CPU and the system bus and so forth.
Okay,
or color depth and display, like you said, it's kind of all over the place.
What are we in now? What's a PS5 Pro?
2056,
like 64 bits. Like the OSs, like the CPUs and the OSs are basically 64 bit. With extensions for weird esoteric math that are bigger and stuff.
Still got to set your monitor to true color though. 32-bit true color.
Mm-hmm.
Everything looks better. All right. Thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back next week. Thank you, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Actually, before we go, thank you.
Again.
Before we go, after that Ramblecast the other day, I looked up how big a 64-bit number is. Or can be. If it's unsigned, meaning there are no negatives, like starts at 0, I believe there are 18.5 quintillion possible values.
Oh, like permutations.
Is that all?
In a 64-bit number can be 18.5 quintillion. Like, yes.
Okay.
So pretty big numbers.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. I've seen bigger.
I mean, the next step is quantum.
Mm-hmm.
That's give me my PS5, my PS Quantum, and then I will have played and beaten all games and played and beaten no games, and it'll collapse and I'll get my trophy. That's how it is. Ask me anything about quantum physics. Did we talk about that? We talked about that on the Ramblecast, right?
Yes, we did.
Yes, on the Ramblecast this week. Apparently, Alex's dad is a big fan of quantum computing.
He's very interested in it at the very least.
Maybe I should message him.
He's not inventing anything.
When you said the man sits around and solves physics equations for fun, I felt a little bit better about how I spent my time.
Great. Get him on.
He also plays guitar. If that helps, I don't know.
What kind of music?
Mostly like blues rock.
Hell yeah. I mean, he is your dad, right?
As far as I know.
Yeah, so he's still a dad. He gets to play blues rock on a guitar.
Yeah, no, I mean it's fine. There's worse dad music he could be playing.
Right. All right. Thanks everybody. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Alex. We'll be back next week.